Hey there, Maximizers. This is Kevin from MaximizingEcommerce.com. I help people build e-commerce businesses they can grow and be really proud of. So in this particular video, I'm going to be talking about Amazon lending. So does it make sense to take a loan from Amazon? So let's go ahead and get right into it. So I'm going to show you here the slide. So you may have seen something kind of like this, or on the left side, if you log into Seller Central, you may see Amazon lending, and they offer you a um, a loan. And I've had ones of all kinds of different sizes, and I've actually taken two of the different loans. So again, in this video, we're going to talk about, does it make sense to take the loan? Is it the right thing for your business? It might not be, or it might be. And I want to talk about some pitfalls, at least as I see in taking that loan. So let's go ahead and start off with, what are the pros of Amazon lending? Well, for one, it's a very simple process. So I have a good friend of mine who works for one of the major banks, one of the major national banks, in commercial lending. And her job, as she describes it, is almost as like a goalkeeper. Um, they have the salespeople that try to get the new customers, that are going to get, a loan. And then her job is to make sure, does this pass scrutiny, and, basically scrutinize it to death, so to speak. Whereas with Amazon, I mean, it's like you click a couple buttons. Now, some of that is because they already have data on your business and what your sales are. So they're not having to like go out and prove it. They already have all the information they need to make the decision. Now, the nice thing is, in addition to being a simple process, it also gives you capital for growth. And this is basically the selling point, so to speak, for pretty much any loan that you might take, is that it frees up capital. So, the big thing is you have this cycle. So let's say you're doing air shipping and it takes 30 to 45 days from the time you place an order to the time you can get it in Amazon to actually be selling. By the time they make it, if you have any prep work, somebody's handling it, it gets to the US, whatever the case is, that the Amazon lending is giving you that capital for growth. So, because otherwise you're constantly taking money, and so you're putting it back into it. So this is giving you more cash flow, so to speak. So rather than waiting 45 days before you start making sales, you're actually taking money that you would have gotten 45 days to 6 months later, and you're putting it on the front end. So that way, if you didn't quite have all the money you needed to make an inventory purchase or something along those lines, then you could use it for that purpose. The nice thing is they can deduct the payments out of your seller account. And again, they kind of know already at this point, like what your account looks like. So they only are offering you these loans based on your history. They can just deduct it straight out of your account. So you get your disbursement every 2 weeks, and they're just going to take that money out of your disbursement. So just subtract from your disbursement. Oops. All right, so what are the cons of Amazon lending? So you have to pay it back. That's the big thing. This isn't free money. So it may feel good, like, oh, I got this money on the front end, opens up capital. Well, you still have to pay it back. So there's different ways you may have to pay it back in different time periods, but you again still have to pay it back. And then oftentimes the rates are higher than traditional lending. Now there's a little bit of a chicken and egg here, in that if you're doing these for traditional lending, let's say an SBA loan, it's going to be a longer loan. Whereas Amazon lending, they may only loan you for, let's say, 3 months or 6 months or a year, whatever the case is. Whereas, SBA loans may go several years. So it'd be a lower rate, but your total cost of the loan might end up actually being less, even with higher rates with Amazon, because you're not taking it for as long. So, but just keep in mind the rates could be higher. And then also too, there's a little bit of a, I use the word addiction. I could see how, if you're not careful, you could be creating an entire business based on these loans, which, as we saw in 2008, when the economy took a downturn, that was one of the things that hurt people the worst. Was a lot of businesses, just in general, this isn't even like a online e-commerce thing, just businesses in general went out of business because they could no longer get funding, and their entire business was going from loan to loan to loan to loan. So you don't want to put yourself in that situation where you're basically floating your business, your entire cash flow for 30, 45 days. So, well, the nice thing is, like I said before, the process is simple. So this is basically, as you saw on the front page, there was an example of from my seller account. They had given me an offer. If you don't have an offer, then I don't believe you can take the loan. But you know, as you get more selling history, they're more likely to give it to you, and you're more likely to get approved for this than you probably would be with a traditional bank as well. So you're probably not going to get a loan straight away from, you know, either a traditional bank or from, you know, Amazon, you know, when you first start out, but you're probably going to get it from Amazon offered before you will from a traditional bank. um, and then, you know, they have different terms, so you can see here there's different amounts that, you know, they were offering me in this particular situation for different time periods. And then I didn't take a screenshot of it, but as you select different ones, you could pick, like, for example, 15,000 at a 9-month term, and it would tell you what your payments would be, what your total cost would be, what would that be as a percentage of what you took out. So that was pretty nice to see, as you know, what it is. So the gist of it is, you know, they make it very simple, and for the most part, well, I shouldn't say for the most part. I said you'll know fairly quickly if you were approved. So as I said, I've taken 2 loans. One was approved instantly, like I think it was approved like that same day. I don't remember if it was instantly, but it was like within. I probably knew like when I woke up the next day if I had it, and then basically they just dispersed whatever the amount for the. I think it was a $3,000 loan. This was right before the holidays. I just needed something to, because I was buying all this inventory. I needed to make one final purchase before a seller would ship something to me. Um, and so I knew pretty much right away, and they just took the $3,000 and whatever else was in my disbursement account, and they sent that to me. And then it was like, I think 3 payments of a little over $1,000. So let's say $1,100. I don't think it was actually that high, but let's say 1,050. So let's say 1,050 every other disbursement they were taking out. So basically once per month, and then um, I was paid off. So the process was very simple. So is there a catch? And this is going back to the part where I saw the addiction part. You know, there are good things about it. You know, another, and this isn't anything official I've ever seen, but I've just heard rumors that it's helpful to have an Amazon loan because there's Fairness in Lending Act implications. Now, don't take that as the gospel. I mean, that's, I just heard through the grapevine on that one. Um, so because they can't, well, not they can't, but you have both, you're a selling account and you're also a lendee. They're lending to you, so relationship with Amazon is a little more favorable for you. Again, if you know about that, please leave comments down below. But I've just heard rumors about that, so that is a benefit. But the catch again here is that people get too. I can see how people get very caught up in taking loans, and this isn't just an Amazon or e-commerce or online. I mean, this is a problem businesses have had for years. And one of the nice things is, at least if you're, you know, selling private label, like I have a family member who has a men's clothing store, and you know, he and I've had conversations that, you know, he takes out like $1 million loan because he has to buy clothes a season or two ahead of time. So if he's buying his, like, it's May right now, he's probably already looking at his winter catalog, of what he's going to be selling. So, you know, that buying cycle is even longer than it is on Amazon. You know, buying, you know, things on, let's say from China or somewhere, and 30, 45 days later, you're starting to make sales from that purchase. You know, he's looking at months down the road. So that requires more floating of a business. Now, because you don't have to buy with as long of a purchasing cycle, I would recommend be careful about that purchasing cycle, and don't get yourself into trouble, because here's where I could see um, the difficulty to be. So I remember when I got my Amazon loan, I was getting those offers pretty much all the time. So there's deadlines on them, but it was like a day or two after the deadline, they would offer me a new one. And that first one, as I remember, I took the loan, they stopped offering me more loans. Well, that made sense until I was about maybe 2/3 of the way through the term of the loan. So I had like one more payment to make. And they're like, you could get X amount and then you could refinance that. So if, like, let's say they're offering me $8,000. I don't even remember what the numbers were. Let's say they're offering me $8,000 and I took the $8,000 and I owed them 1,000. So basically they would just pay off that first $1,000 and then I would get like the whatever's left over, the 7,000. So, but here's the problem. If I'm constantly taking these loans before I pay off the other one, then I have this balance that's just perpetually there. So let's say I have $1,000 that every time I take a loan, I get down to about $1,000 or whatever the case is, and they offer me a refi. Well, if I never pay off that initial amount, I'm going to be constantly paying that forever. So if let's say the APR is like 17.99%, so 18%. If I'm constantly having a balance of at least $1,000, that $1,000 is going to cost me, let's say, $180 a year. So if you start taking these loans, try to not be in a cycle where you're constantly taking a new loan before the next one comes out. I mean, maybe it makes sense for your business and you feel comfortable with your risk level to do that, but that is the catch, is that you will have this kind of perpetual balance that you're constantly paying, which is the same thing with credit cards. So where they and I mean lenders in general make their money is they kind of want you to keep a balance. Like if you have a credit card and you pay it off, you're, for lack of a better term, you're not really a good customer for them. They want you to have a loan, so you're constantly paying because they're getting 18%, let's say, on the credit card too, because they want that money. It's a lot better than they just had the money sitting in the bank. So it's kind of the same thing for Amazon. So again, it's not a bad thing, but just keep that in the back of your mind as you're doing it, because I can see that's where they probably make the bulk of their money. And that's not a criticism of it. It's just something that you have to keep in the back of your mind just to be smart as you're making good decisions. So hopefully you found this video to be helpful. And if you did, I would absolutely love to click the little thumbs up icon, as well as subscribe to the channel. And that way, if you click the little notification bell, we can make sure that other people, or we let you know when other videos come available. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. Or if you've taken an Amazon loan, or even from Cabbage, or one of the other various lending sources out there, I'd be curious to hear your experiences as well. So again, please feel free to leave a comment down below. So thank you for watching this video and have a wonderful day. Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.